Jasmine Pineda could not have predicted what was in store for her life after appearing on 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After. She married Gino Palazzolo and thought they'd head off into their version of Happily Ever After. Instead, they opened up their marriage, fought, and he kicked her out. She still can't believe how much hate he has for her now. The couple did not have an easy time of it. They agreed to an open marriage in 90 Day, the last resort, although begrudgingly and with a lot of rules. Jasmine then began sleeping with gym buddy Matt Branisterianu. Gino got jealous and eventually kicked her out of the house, despite his legal responsibilities to her as her visa sponsor. Gino got progressively angrier and angrier. He accused Jasmine and Matt of being in a relationship prior to the open marriage, which Jasmine refutes, and has many hurtful things to say about her. So much so that she can hardly recognize the man she once loved. She can barely believe it when she watches the upcoming 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After Tell-All. I am in the same shoes as you, watching this for the very first time, Jasmine tells Decider. I barely recognize this man now. I can't believe the things that he is saying. He is allowed to feel whatever he wants to feel because how we ended was not what we were expecting or dreaming of. Regardless of that, he is just so full of hate towards me. He wants to cause me a lot of pain. She added more context. Things did not work out just because of me. He has been unable to take any accountability. It makes me sad to hear him say those things about me because I will never be able to hate him. A lot of people say I should hate him for what he's done to me, but I cannot. I will never be able to hate someone that I once loved so much. Jasmine has more important things to focus on now. She is a proud mom to her baby Matilda Olymp. She recently shaved her head in response to her alopecia, and she and Matt are trying to make things work. She's very grateful that Matt is doing his part and thankful to have the support of both of their families. Without having people on her side, Jasmine's move from Panama to the United States, Dearborn, Michigan, to be exact, would have been that much harder on her. The 90-day formula is difficult, and not everyone makes it. In the end, you can only hope to stay standing, which is what Jasmine is doing now. Jasmine enters the story shocked by the fallout of her marriage to Gino, a union she believed would carry her into stability, comfort, security. Instead, she walks into turbulence, conflict, confrontation. The open marriage agreement ignites tension, jealousy, suspicion. Jasmine connects with Matt, the gym companion who becomes the center of Gino's anger, frustration, resentment. Gino escalates, intensifies, lashes out, ejects her from the home despite her vulnerability, her immigration situation, her dependence on his sponsorship. Jasmine watches the tell-all footage astonished, confused, overwhelmed as Gino's hostility rises like a storm she never anticipated. She hears accusations, timelines twisted, motives questioned, character attacked. She stands firm, insisting no prior involvement with Matt existed before the agreement. She describes Gino's refusal to accept responsibility, his unwillingness to self-reflect, his fixation on blame. She admits sadness, disappointment, heartbreak, because she cannot hate someone she once loved so deeply. She moves forward anyway, focusing on baby Matilda, embracing motherhood, managing alopecia with strength as she shaves her head, rebuilding confidence. Matt steps in with effort, consistency, support from both families. Jasmine recognizes the difficulty of leaving Panama, adjusting to life in Dearborn, Michigan, navigating cultural pressure, emotional upheaval. She acknowledges the brutal nature of the 90-day journey, the intense scrutiny, the unpredictable outcomes. She decides to stand tall, hold her ground, rebuild her life, embrace survival, growth, renewal. The story progresses with Jasmine choosing peace, stability, clarity over chaos, bitterness, conflict. She moves into the next chapter with determination, resilience, forward motion, steady energy, unwavering focus as she leaves the old battles behind and centers herself on healing, responsibility, motherhood, connection, future. Jasmine confronts the storm inside herself, standing alone in a small apartment filled with baby laughter, new beginnings, echoes of old wounds. She reflects on her journey, not with regret, but with clarity. Gino spirals further into bitterness, telling friends, relatives, producers that Jasmine betrayed him, manipulated him, took advantage of his trust. He replays old messages, old memories, old fears until they turn into distorted truths. Meanwhile, Jasmine grows stronger daily. She attends doctor visits for Matilda, schedules therapy, builds routines, organizes her future. Matt stays patient though tension rises from public judgment, online hate, dramatic whispers from viewers. Jasmine feels pressure from social media, gossip pages, immigration fears, motherhood exhaustion. Still, she pushes forward. Scenes move fast. Jasmine cooking while soothing Matilda. Jasmine crying at night quietly, so the baby doesn't wake. Jasmine smiling during video calls with family in Panama. Jasmine answering producers' questions with tired eyes, but steady voice. Jasmine reminding herself she deserves peace. Gino prepares paperwork, insists he owes her nothing, claims she destroyed the marriage. He unloads anger with interviews, posts, messages. Jasmine doesn't respond. Silence becomes her shield. Growth becomes her weapon. More scenes. Jasmine attending alopecia support groups. Jasmine filming content with confidence despite her shaved head. Jasmine and Matt arguing about trust, but resolving with honesty. Jasmine learning to drive in the U.S. Jasmine laughing for the first time in months. She becomes a version of herself untouched by Gino's chaos. Meanwhile, Gino watches the tell-all broadcast later, sees Jasmine's emotional breakdown, sees her calm defense, sees her maturity. His expression shifts between frustration, regret, confusion though he never admits it. Final sequences, Jasmine walking through Dearborn streets holding Matilda. Cold wind pushing against her, but she keeps moving. Voiceover, not every love survives. Not every promise holds. Not every story ends the way it began. But standing matters. Healing matters. Moving forward matters. She looks at the sky, breathes deeply, steps into her new chapter with unbreakable strength, leaving the old world behind, but carrying the lessons forward. Fade out. Jasmine reborn. End. Jasmine stands inside a collapsing world filled with noise, tension, fire. Gino's voice shoots through the house like shrapnel. Accusations hit her from every angle. She grips her chest, steadying her breath. She left Panama for love, commitment, a future built on trust. Instead, she stands inside a battlefield. The open marriage agreement detonates everything. Matt becomes the trigger, the spark, the center of Gino's jealousy. Gino's insecurity inflates into rage. Rage turns into shouts. Shouts turn into emotional wreckage. Jasmine denies any pre-agreement involvement. Gino rejects every word. He throws blame like knives. He points at the door, orders her out with cold eyes, sharp tone, no hesitation. She steps into the night with bags, cold wind slicing her skin. Tears run silently as she waits. Matt arrives, tense, serious, protective. She collapses into the passenger seat. Streets blur past like memories crashing through her mind. She spends the night at a friend's place, staring at the ceiling, heart beating like a drum of panic. Morning comes. Producers call. Tell all day. She sits in the chair under harsh lights. Gino's pre-recorded clips roll on giant screens. Venom pours out of his mouth, claims of betrayal, manipulation, deception. She feels her throat tighten. Tears push forward, breath break. She whispers she cannot hate him. Not even now. Not even after all of this. She leaves the stage drained, shaking, shattered. She returns home and hears Matilda cry. She holds her baby tightly, grounding herself in the softness of motherhood. Alopecia progresses. She takes the razor. She shaves her head. Strength rises in her eyes. Matt stands beside her, hands on her shoulders, steady voice telling her she's powerful. She faces Dearborn's cold days, new responsibilities, immigration pressure, online hate, cultural shock. She pushes through each obstacle with stubborn will. She cooks while exhausted, cries quietly in the bathroom, laughs on video calls to Panama, builds routines from scratch. Her confidence climbs. She joins alopecia support groups, shares her story, listens to others. She films content boldly, head shaved, voice firm. She grows. Meanwhile, Gino spirals further into blame, anger, bitterness. He tells friends she destroyed his life, twisted his trust, used him. He signs papers with frustration. He speaks in interviews with harshness. He defends his side with intensity. Jasmine stays silent. Silence becomes her shield. Growth becomes her direction. She argues with Matt at times, pressure hitting them from all sides. They reconnect after honesty, softness, understanding. She works through motherhood with fierce devotion. Long nights, restless mornings, heavy days. Matilda becomes her anchor, her purpose, her strength. She practices driving, learns systems, navigates American life. She handles judgment from strangers, whispers from neighbors, comments from viewers. She doesn't break. She tightens her resolve, sharpens her focus, builds herself brick by brick. She looks in the mirror at her shaved reflection and whispers she is enough. Gino watches a new episode featuring her transformation. Something inside him shifts. He doesn't speak publicly about it, but his eyes soften, only for a second, before he hides it beneath bitterness again. Jasmine writes in a journal at night about fear, loss, healing. She releases anger quietly. She releases Gino without hate. She releases the past without regret. Matt returns after giving her space. They talk late into the night. Raw, honest, vulnerable. He wants to stay but respects her pace. She nods, allowing him in slowly, cautiously. She rebuilds trust carefully. She embraces motherhood with strength. She organizes paperwork, attends appointments, manages bills, learns to stand alone. She walks through Dearborn streets with Matilda in a stroller. Winter wind pushes against her, but she moves forward without slowing. She faces challenges with a steady heart. More scenes rush fast. Cooking, cleaning, laughing, crying, nights awake, mornings tired, afternoons busy. She becomes a version of herself untouched by past chaos. Gino appears in one final interview. Tired, drained, worn out. His voice lacks fire. He reflects quietly. He confesses confusion. He admits he didn't handle things perfectly. Regret floats beneath the surface. Jasmine doesn't watch that interview. She no longer needs his words. She stands on her balcony at sunset, Matilda asleep inside, wind brushing her shaved head. She breathes slowly, deeply, calmly. She doesn't look back. She doesn't shatter. She doesn't break. She steps into her future with full strength, full clarity, full resolve. She rebuilt herself. She survived. She stands tall. She stands new. She stands free. Jasmine wakes to another morning that feels like a test, baby breath soft against her collarbone, city noise bleeding through thin walls, mind racing but body moving, feeding Matilda with practiced tenderness, checking messages, ignoring trolls, folding laundry, arranging documents, negotiating appointments, answering calls with steady voice, pretending calm while the inside churns. She remembers Panama in flashes, warmth, laughter, family faces, old recipes, a life compressed into memory. Then remembers the night Gino slammed doors, shouted, shoved blame like broken glass. Remembers stepping out into cold air with a single bag, a small baby, a heart full of questions. She thought of trust, commitment, safety, thought of a home that would hold her. Instead found accusation, denial, venom. She thought of an open marriage agreement as a pact, a rule book, a mistake that would be managed, then watched it explode, watched boundaries warp into weapons. Matt appears as a steady presence, a quiet hand, a firm shoulder, a mirror that shows her not broken but bruised, a man who offers practical help, drives to appointments, arranges childcare, listens without judgment, sometimes confused, sometimes afraid of the public glare, but persistent in care. Jasmine resists pity. She focuses on the small victories, Matilda's first laugh, a call with her mother where she hears encouragement and fear mingled, a day at the pediatrician where the nurse compliments her resilience. She shaves her head when alopecia accelerates, razor whispering against skin, tears wetting the sink, then a fierce grin in the mirror because fear cannot claim her. She posts a video showing the new face, receives both hate and a flood of support, reads comments at night like weather reports, decides to ignore storms and build shelter instead. She learns American systems quickly, files paperwork, waits in lines, practices English sentences aloud, stumbles, corrects, grows. She walks the neighborhood with Matilda bundled, stroller wheels clattering, winter air stinging cheeks, breath white in front of her, and imagines a future stitched from small moments. Gino moves through his own spiral of defense, anger sharpening into a narrative he tells anyone who will listen, social feeds filled with clipped accusations, interviews where he paints himself wounded, a man betrayed. He stitches together memories to justify his rage, replays private fights until they become proof in his mind, refuses accountability even as he signs papers that shift responsibilities, refuses to acknowledge the ways he dismissed Jasmine's needs. He tells producers his side, like a litany, each retelling making the story more monstrous, each broadcast adding weight to public judgment. Friends pick sides. Families fracture. The public consumes pain like a spectacle. Commentary threads endless, strangers declaring verdicts with the click of a button. Jasmine sees headlines early in the morning, feels the breath go out of her, steadies herself because the baby needs warmth, food, lullabies. She avoids responding publicly, chooses silence as strategy, silence as dignity. Silence does not erase accusation, but it preserves energy. She channels energy into tasks, arranging childcare, seeking legal counsel about sponsorship obligations, figuring out healthcare, applying for benefits, scheduling therapy, attending support groups for alopecia, listening to women who have walked similar paths, and discovering a quiet network of solidarity. She walks into a room and finds 5 women with shaved heads who offer gentle smiles and hard-won advice. She weeps and laughs in the same breath, learns to braid a tiny blanket with patient fingers, learns to soothe Matilda by humming a song in Spanish then English, learns to answer producers with a calm that surprises even her. Matt and Jasmine navigate moments of fragile trust, arguments compressed into tight rooms, apologies said with bare honesty, reconnections negotiated slowly like careful trades. He refuses grand gestures, chooses consistency instead. Showing up at dawn to hold the baby while Jasmine sleeps, fixing a leaky faucet, bringing soup when she's sick, taking on errands, sitting in uncomfortable interviews beside her, absorbing stares, deflecting cameras with a practiced nod. They fight about boundaries, about public exposure, about the speed of moving forward, about how much to trust a man linked to television drama. Jasmine insists on protecting Matilda's privacy, wants to keep family life small and sacred. Matt sometimes forgets in the rush of momentum, posts a photo, regrets it, apologizes immediately, learns boundaries, learns to be quiet heroically. Together they make practical lists, they plan for school funds, they talk about a small house with a yard, a place with trees where Matilda can run free. They dream quietly, then set steps to reach those dreams. Jasmine teaches Matilda to clap and to say mama with toothless grin. Each small milestone feels revolutionary after months of chaos. Producers call repeatedly, wanting drama, wanting confessions, wanting fireworks. Jasmine refuses manufactured pain. She agrees to tell all segments, but negotiates terms, clear boundaries, no ambush, time to prepare. A segment focused on motherhood rather than violence. Cameras record her with unadorned truth. She admits mistakes without dramatizing them. She refuses to be cast as villain or victim exclusively. She claims complexity. She stands under bright lights and refuses the role of a caricature. She says she regrets decisions that hurt the marriage, but insists she never intended harm. She says she cannot hate a man she once loved. She says she deserves safety. Clip reels play, audience gasps, social feeds light up, arguments erupt in comment sections like controlled fires. Some viewers cry for her, some condemn, some mock. Jasmine reads reactions in measured intervals, lets most pass like clouds, keeps hold of the things that matter. Matilda's smile, a supportive text from her sister, a meal prepared by a neighbor. She learns to create a private sphere that remains impermeable to public opinion. Night after night she journals, ink scratching out fear, anxiety, sketches of dreams drawn in margins, lists of small goals. She writes letters to Matilda she might